get it.
S-D-P. The Steve Dangle Podcast. With your hosts, Steve Dangle, Adam Wilde, and Jesse Blake.
Let's go!
Breaking news, Steve Dangle, basic fetch. I'm so upset. It's, what's the date? It's August the 29th.
30th, idiot.
Whatever it is.
Fool. You fool.
Steve has already started fall. Like, normally this time of year, we'd be super jacked. Like, oh, training camp's going to start soon and whatever. Steve's super excited because what are you drinking, Steve? What are you drinking?
Oh, this?
Yeah.
It's a PSL. It's a pumpkin spice latte, baby. Loving life. Living life and loving life, Adam Wilde.
Jesse,
Living
what were
life
you
and loving
saying?
life, Jesse Blake.
You made a good point about this.
I don't like that much sugar and stuff in my coffee. I like coffee for the taste of coffee and the caffeine.
Okay,
I don't drink
Dennis
coffee.
Leary.
I don't drink coffee to have some sort of milkshake sugar thing.
I like coffee-flavored coffee.
Shut up. Most I'll do is put some milk in it from once in a while.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if it's from one of that local Canadian coffee shop that doesn't make the best coffee, you know, because you need to throw some milk in it so it doesn't taste as bad.
Yeah.
But otherwise, I just drink it black, you know? Steve, why do you like so much sugar in your coffee?
Now, here's the thing, Jesse. I don't. I almost never put sugar in my coffee. No sugar tonight in my coffee, I always say. Every now and then, honey, because I'm weird. Every now and then, maybe if my throat's a little ticklish, you know, put a little dash of honey. But typically, it's either black or a little bit of cream, no sugar. But let me tell you something. When I heard pumpkin spice lattes were coming back this year and coming back early, I'm not going to lie. Leo was born June 22nd. And that little bit of news was the best news I had received since that day. The best news, that and the fact that the Penguins were throwing in a prospect with the first.
Let me just throw this out there. We're not getting paid for this, by the way, just in case anybody's wondering. This isn't a read. This is actually...
Oh, no. No, this is not a read. You can tell by how absolutely devastated Adam is to learn that his friend is enjoying a pumpkin spice latte on this, the day of our Lord, August 30th. Listen, when I heard the pumpkin spice lattes were coming back, I was like, oh my God, that means fall is around the corner. Autumn, if you will. That means there's a future. It was the most normal thing to happen in 2020. The fact that pumpkin spice lattes are coming back. And I went on Twitter and people were upset about it. And I went, the world is normal. It's just abnormal things are happening within it. The same thing that happens every single year is happening again this year. To see that pumpkin spice lattes are coming back and that there was a debate about it. I like them versus people shouldn't. Oh, it was the most normal thing ever. And I thought to myself, I would like some nonsense in my coffee, please. And this is my third, maybe even fourth of the season. And let me tell you.
Do you make them at home?
No.
So you go out and you put it in your own mug?
Oh, no. So here's the thing. My wife wanted one earlier, but I had already made myself a coffee. No sugar, Jesse. I know you wanted to ask.
Okay.
So I saved this little bad boy and I reheated it. I reheated my little piece of autumn. And now I'm just hanging out with my friends.
Fake pumpkin chemical with a little bit of coffee. It doesn't, I don't see the appeal.
Does it even taste like pumpkin? And what the hell that you ever eaten? Take a good old fresh bite out of your pumpkin this Halloween. Tell me if you actually knew what pumpkin tastes like. Because anybody that tells me they know what pumpkin tastes even the pumpkin in the can that comes from the store, no, that's what sugar tastes like. Orange sugar.
No, it's what you feed your dog to make them stop eating their
orange
poop.
crushed with. It's just orange and sugar.
You feed pumpkin to your dog so they won't eat their own poop. Because pumpkin makes their poop taste disgusting.
Is that right?
That's how bad pumpkin is. By the way, doesn't work. Does not work.
Thank God.
God, I miss Charlie.
I'm so glad.
Well, rest in peace, Charlie. Just, I would have loved to have done a eulogy. That dog loved his own shit.
Waffles likes other dogs' poo more than her.
Oh,
Oh my god, I want to die.
If we're at the dog park and there's a big clump of poo, she'll go up to it and she'll try and nibble a little. But
God.
how are you doing there, everybody listening to this
I
show?
want to vomit.
How are you doing,
God.
European listeners listening to this at the crack of dawn? How are you doing there, everybody?
Yo, my dogs do not do that. Thank God. They've never done that.
Adam,
I don't know why.
what should we do with Steve and his PSL?
What should we do?
Yeah, I
I don't know, man. Like, let him live, I guess. But I don't.
What an idea.
Here's the thing. With
Minding your business. Is that
when
on the list?
it, when it comes to this stuff, and I'm sorry, I'm just plugging in my computer. When it comes to this stuff, I think maybe I'm a little biased against it because I passed the threshold of being able to have that much sugar in anything a long time ago. And the reason for that is my stomach, it's like somebody set off napalm in it. It's literally like you've turned my stomach into fire and I'm dying on the inside and I'm imploding. And so I think personally that I might be maybe a little bit biased against the PSL thing. I can't even have their candy cane latte. Like I can't have any of it because I get so sick. And that started in like my mid-20s where I couldn't have that stuff anymore. So the only thing I can have that doesn't bother me is spicy stuff.
I'm
So-
here for a good time, not a long time. Adam.
Now, do you have to take like heartburn meds and stuff after this, Steve? You have to pop Zantac?
Okay, listen, I'm sore very often, but I'm not there yet. I'm not
I'm there.
What?
I'm there.
Good.
I've-
Good.
I've been
Listen,
there,
and
man.
Adam,
I've been
that's
there
your business.
forever.
You know, you've said a whole lot of words, and not one of them has discouraged me from getting this little cup full of sweater weather.
Gross.
Mm.
I hate it.
The best part
Oh.
of Toronto is that we have 4 seasons. To
Yeah,
anybody who lives in
easily.
like a temperate place that just kind of same all year, you don't know what you're missing.
No,
Four
it's
seasons.
great.
That's a great place
It-
to visit.
You're
Yeah.
also you're missing the fact that in about mid-August every year, and actually this is the first August I've ever seen this happen. Where it hasn't happened because it was so hot in Toronto this summer that usually people with a little bit of style sense who do this first gets to be about mid-August and you start to see big woolen sweaters, you start to see cardigans. You start to see long pants and like that, you know, that there's that fall, there's those dark greens and those browns and stuff that start to come out in people's
Fall
clothes.
colors.
Yeah, fall colors really start. And like you see people and they're fully like dressed head to toe in fall clothes and it's 30 degrees outside. Now,
Couldn't wait to
this year
debut it.
because it's been boiling and I don't think and I also haven't seen people this year. Like there's just nobody here. Everybody's at home.
But it also happens on the other end too. In like mid-March, you
Yeah.
see mid-March hits. Everyone's in a bikini. It's 10 degrees,
And
and everybody's walking down Yonge Street with no clothes on, and they're
Spring
like,
is so much harder. Spring is so much harder to predict. Do you remember Game 2? We went to Boston in 2018.
Yep.
Our flight almost delayed. Ice storm. I was walking around the neighborhood today, like just thinking about all the trees that are still damaged from that spring storm in 2018.
That's right. That was a cold day. Oh,
Sweater weather.
it's a good thing we braved that ice storm to see that 6-0 drubbing, wasn't it?
oh,
Oh, no, it was worse than that. It was. Oh, we saw Curtis McElhaney before the halfway point of the game.
Yeah.
It was not
That
good.
was bad. You know what?
Yeah.
And actually, I do want to talk about that as it pertains to Freddie Anderson a little bit later in the show. First, though, Steven, have you picked out your Selly of the Week candidate?
Oh, certainly not.
Certainly not.
No, certainly not. I was gonna.
You
I
know
was
we do
way
that on
too-
Sundays, right?
No, no. Yeah, but you know what else we do on Sundays? We just, enjoy the simple.
Do you really not have anything? Are we really not ready to go with this segment?
No.
For once, I wanted to start with something really positive and really good. Not a single one. Not even one comes to mind. Where you
No,
can
wait.
be like, I can.
Wait,
pick
is this
it.
the old one or the new one?
This is the new one. This has happened in the last week.
Steve's
I think that was sarcastic from Tony there.
Tony? Yeah,
I think
it sounds a
a little
bit
sarcasm.
sarcastic.
You know what, Tone? I don't appreciate that. No, you know what? I got to give it to. You know what? Sometimes on this show, I'm like, gosh, we critique too much. those who can't do critique on a podcast, I think is
Sure.
the saying.
Sure.
I think that's how it goes.
Yeah.
Now, is it cool for fans to be cantankerous?
Yeah.
Is it cool for fans to chirp the other team?
Sure.
Maybe even heckle?
Yeah.
Well, then why do we give New York Islanders fans such a gosh darn hard time? They were just being regular hockey fans, burning effigies of John Tavares in the parking lot and throwing plastic snakes at him on the ice.
And running over effigies of him too.
And
Like they had-
just regular, normal stuff. I got to give it to Islanders fans for they're keeping it together. They're keeping it together. This is not an on-ice celebration. This is an entire fan base. They are keeping it together. If I was an Islanders fan and I was truly upset about the John Tavares thing a couple of years ago, would I be all over the fact that not only are they in the second round, on the verge of the third, not only did Leo Komarov and Matt Martin score last night, not only are the Islanders doing all of this in Toronto, but their win song, and the one that Islanders fans all over my timeline last night were dancing to in their living rooms, and it's all right, and it's coming along, we gotta get oh my God. It's the Leafs friggin' win song. They're killing us! But they're doing it in a classy, proper trolling way. I have no notes. So my Selly of the week goes to New York Islanders fans for living their best lives. I can't hate on that. I'm trying to live my best life, and so are they. So I got to give it to them.
If you wanted to live your best life, you'd be eating a bowl of Frosted Flakes right now.
Well, Adam,
That calls for some Frosted Flakes.
Right,
you're right, Tony,
Thank you.
because they're great. They're great. I got to get lessons from. They're great. That was good.
It was good.
It was good.
good.
Great.
What a great Selly.
Great. He just has more depth, more range. Here, one more time. Great.
Do you want Tony one more time?
Yeah.
What
One
a
more time, Tony.
Great Selly.
Yeah, no. He just doesn't.
You got to pull it a little bit more. You got to pull it
Yeah.
higher.
I'll practice.
Yeah.
Great Selly.
Great.
What a
Yeah.
great Selly.
Great.
You need more practice, though.
I do. It's there, though.
It's like
And
a
the
puppy learning to bark.
Islanders fans, they've been great.
They have.
throughout these
Shout out to
playoffs. That was
Islanders
the best one.
Yeah. Honestly, the more the Islanders win, the less of them I get in my DMs. So that's good.
And dude, if they do the damn thing, because it's starting to look like they just
it's
might.
gonna be.
We're gonna get there, right?
Yeah,
we're
we'll
not
get
starting
there.
off with that.
No. We're not starting off.
We got
on
some
that.
stuff.
They might
Uh,
only have one game left in Toronto.
So that wraps your Selly of the week.
Yeah.
Thank you, Steve, for that. I'm glad you came prepared.
Always
If
do.
I had a show with my name on it, I sure would come as prepared as you do.
Oh wow! What?
Wait, you already do. Don't they have a show called Virgin Mornings?
No, yeah, that's all.
And it's all right.
I have proof. I have a daughter.
That's okay. Fair enough.
All right, so let's talk about this. So I mean, literally after we finished up our show on Wednesday, probably one of the biggest PR disasters in NHL history hit. And I don't think I'm being I don't know if I could get any more literal than that. It's one of the worst PR moves that the NHL hasn't made. And it's because they didn't make it that they came off so poorly. So obviously, mid-show in the last episode, I don't even know if we knew whether the NBA was not playing or not, but we had a pretty good idea. That
It was like minutes after we stopped recording, because we started recording at 2 p.m. Eastern, and the game was set for 4 p.m. So we must have ended at like 4 is usually when we end.
It was very typical us.
It started with
minutes.
Yeah, a couple minutes later. It started with the Bucks not taking the court, and then it kind of went into the whole NBA, and then you had reports of the Lakers and Clippers saying we're done. That has obviously been resolved, and there's been some change and some movement forward on that, and we'll get to that in a second. But, the PR failure for the NHL, and I call it a PR failure, was not – it wasn't just not sitting out the games. And this seems like so long ago. I'm starting with the negative so we can move to the positive here. The PR failure was the moment of consideration or whatever the hell they did. They had a 33-second reflection. Yeah. They had a 33-second thing where the announcer said, we skate for this, and we will now pause for a moment of reflection. The moment of reflection did last 3 seconds. 3 seconds. And then they went on to play. And after the game, a lot of players, and it doesn't matter what game we're talking about, a lot of players were asked about this. And I want to read you something that Sid Seixeiro said the next day on Tim and Sid. Because the excuse given, and it was an excuse, the excuse given was, Alain Vigneault came out and said, I don't know what's going on in the world. I only focus on hockey. Bullshit. And if you're my head coach, I want you to know that stuff. Kind of important. Number two, there were a lot of players, that there wasn't a lot of time between us and, them doing what they were doing and then for us to make a decision. And for the early games, you can make that call. For sure, I guess you could say maybe, possibly. You could maybe mention that. But Sid Seixeiro said this. And I'm going to read from the Globe and Mail directly. He said, Seixeiro went after the hockey players, noting that some of them in the Western bubble, which had begun its Wednesday game at 10:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, more than 6 hours after the NBA announced the Bucks and Magic would not proceed, had suggested that after the game, they didn't know what was going on in the outside world. You weren't sure what was going on, Seixeiro yelped, incredulous, staring right at the camera like a laser pointer. You're a bunch of under 30s with phones in a bubble, and you have nothing else to do but look at your phone all day. You didn't know what was going on. You need to know what's going on. You need to pick a side. McAuliffe nodded along, and the two recalled that the previous day they'd both joked that, of course, the NHL wasn't going to cancel its games that night. And I also want to mention this. Jordan Banks, who was taken over as the president of sports and media last summer for Rogers, sent an unusual email to staff. Last night, many of our Sportsnet on-air personalities and colleagues across Rogers Sports Media used their platforms to share their thoughts on what transpired in Wisconsin and across professional sports over the course of the past several days. Please know that Bart Yabsley and myself and the entire RSM leadership team stand behind you in expressing your views and opinions in support of Black Lives Matter. We have your backs. Now, we also saw Kelly Rudy say, we shouldn't be here. We shouldn't be talking about this. We shouldn't even, I'm disappointed. Chris Johnson tweeted it. Luke Fox talked about it. Christine Simpson talked about it. And I think Jim Houston did as well. I think that, whoever's doing play-by-play that night did talk about it.
It would have been Jim then.
Jim and Craig.
Doing the East, and Chris Cuthbert's doing the West.
Yeah, so I think it was Jim and Craig.
Okay.
Craig Simpson. So the announcers got it. The NHL didn't get it. Like, the NBA gets it. Everybody else seems to get it. The NHL and the NHLPA do not get it. And they screw up royally. And I don't think that there's any – you can't look at that and go, that was the right call. Play those games. However, and this is the part where I'm not going to have an opinion on this to start because I want to get your opinion on this to start. Sometimes you're late to the party, but if you come and show a genuine interest in what this movement is all about, there are going to be people that are latecomers. Do you accept and do you like what the NHL did? Because in the next few days, they canceled games. Players came out and finally said, like even Brad Marchand saying, it's not a political issue. This is about people being treated the same. And he's right. It's not a political issue. It's about people being treated the same. There's no party associated with that. That's just fundamental to both countries. America and Canada have very different sets of laws and very different constitutions, but at the basis of all of them is a is striving for equality. That was, it's supposed to be outlined in the law. We have different ways of interpreting that, but all the same, the goal is the same.
Let me just say this. Brad Marchand was right.
As hard as that is to say.
I just wanted to get that into a mic.
What did you guys think of the response? You got Reeves and Kadri and Bellemare and other players, out front, and then all the other guys behind them at a press conference talking about how everybody's behind this. What was your reaction? Do you feel like, okay, we're taking some steps here now? Because the NHL, as Matt Dumba said, always late to the party.
I for one, so the way they handled it out west, I liked it a little better because with the NBA, it's a players thing. The players made this decision and they're bringing people in. So they're trying to get their teams in. They're trying to get the owners in. Obviously, LeBron James trying to get the Staples Center involved in several things. So the West just seemed more collaborative. The players up front, all the players behind them. That seemed really good. And how about the leader that Nazem Kadri has been throughout all of this? Because a lot of the heat was coming from not knowing where the NHL's decision to finally postpone games was coming from. Kadri was the one who came out and said players' decision. He's the king of the 2-word tweet. He's very good at it. So I liked what they did out west. Out east, I mean, certain guys were doing a good job of getting involved. Kevin Shattenkirk, Brad Marchand. It didn't seem as collaborative. I don't know if they had to bring it together faster. But what was the only part to me, or the most disappointing part to me, was what does the NHL do better than follow the NBA? You know what I mean? You didn't need that, did you? I don't know. It always seems to be the next day. The NBA can be first on everything because it seems like they are. They're the king of leagues right now. They just are. They can be first, but you don't need to be so far behind them, I guess was my main letdown.
Jesse?
Yeah, no, Steve, you took the words right out of my mouth. I was gonna say
Sorry.
Wednesday was absolutely embarrassing for the league. Just as you guys pointed out, that 10:30 game, it's like you have 6 hours to make a decision. The fact that you went with play the game it's absurd. It's embarrassing to be a fan, and it's embarrassing to be a player in that league. Looking back on that, and then you look to the NBA, and then you say, okay, so the NHL are never going to be leaders across professional sports. It's like this is just a microcosm for the way this league is run. They're always going to be second on everything. They're going to come to the right conclusion. It seems like they usually do. They usually make the right call, but in terms of leading the movement and being progressive and just innovation in any way, just the NHL is always going to be second. And Ron McLean, when he was talking to the hockey diversity panel on, I believe it was Thursday when all the games were canceled, he made this example about how back in the ancient days, the guy who came second to a decision was looked at as the more intelligent one, because the first person just reacted, and then the second person, they took their time to come to a decision. And I felt like it was an excuse for the league, but it was also, okay, yes, when the NHL takes the time to think about these things and see what the other leagues are doing, they'll come to the right decision. They'll support the right cause. But that's not what we want out of the league. We want these players and these guys to be leaders and to innovate and to take a stand sometimes, and don't just follow everyone because, okay, this is the way society is going, let's go that way. But then you have to give them credit for making the right decision in the end, which they do. But yeah, they're never going to lead in any way.
And I didn't want to hammer them too. Sorry.
Go ahead.
Well, I didn't want to hammer them too hard because they got there.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? We were we were hammering them for not getting there sooner, and then when they got there, I'm like, oh well, now I'm not going to hammer them for getting there.
When they get there, it's okay. Hey, welcome to the party. You're finally here. Why were you late? Let me know why you were late. I want to know what the hell is your problem. Did your car break down? What's going on here? And then once you find out, then you join the party and you have the party and you forget about why their car broke down. You know, welcome to the party, but hey, show up early next time
and
get here on time.
And I know you're dying, Adam, but one quick thing, we were hours away from a tweet, right? Like we were hours away from a tweet from that family, right? From one of the Trumps, the NHL.
I don't
once
know
again,
that.
they have more than once used the league that you love as a political pawn. Stick to sports. Well, they didn't get the memo, and they have more than once done it. And not the only league, the only league that was playing all of their games. How about that? Because the MLB canceled some. The only league that was playing all their games. A tweet was hours away. It was real close. Might have been sooner, but they were busy that night.
Yeah.
They were going to use the NHL again, and the NHL took away that opportunity. The NHL players took that opportunity away from them.
Like you said,
you're making that.
Yeah. They did a lot of great
Come
things
on.
Thursday through Sunday, like today. It's been spectacular what they've been doing and supporting. It's been great, but we can't not be like, hey, what the hell happened on Wednesday when you were verging on shut up and dribble territory? And just telling these guys when there's a global crisis going on in society, you're telling these guys just to go play hockey.
Yeah, and that's the question that I have, is that is it possible for here's what I would say, and I've been grappling with this, and I think about this stuff. I take long showers because that's where I can do my best thinking. And so I was in the shower this morning. Please try not to imagine it. And I was thinking about what a statement it would have made for a majority white league to stand up and take quick action. Because, let's be honest here. The NBA is chock full of stories, and we saw more and more of them, of players that it's like, what was that? There was a football player this week who was accosted by security for moving into a community that he bought a house in, like moving while black. I forget his name, but I remember I was watching the video, and there's an opportunity here to show solidarity in a way that's quite unique to hockey because it's so white. And the juxtaposition of stepping up, you would expect people who are black to be outraged. The problem here is that we need white people to be outraged, to step outside of themselves for a second and go, how would I feel? This is my family. Or not even my family. This is just a systemic thing, endemic in our society. And I think there was a huge opportunity missed in my books because, it's just such an easy choice. It's such an easy choice to make. There's nothing about this that you risk if you're the NHL or the players. And I don't understand. I know the Dallas Stars there was some article today suggesting that the Dallas Stars have lost some corporate sponsors, lost some box seats people. And it's like, yeah, but don't you want to lose those people?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I know a racist dollar is worth the same as a non-racist dollar, but that sort of that sort of thinking is the kind of stuff that's got us here in the first place. And I'm not suggesting that that it's that there isn't something at risk here with these big corporations and stuff are run majority by white people who are freaked out by the BLM movement and blah blah blah. We already know that. So there's a lot of people just looking to protect the dollars part. But it's such an easy choice to make for the players and frankly the teams to just step up and go, yeah, we get this and we understand. And this is not a new thing. And this is the part that bothered me the most, is that, we've had these protests going on for months. I mean, when did George Floyd die? When did Colin Kaepernick take a knee? That was
4 years ago last week.
Right, that's what I mean.
It was
right?
the anniversary.
So you had time to educate yourself on this. You know, when Colin Kaepernick first took a knee, I think you could forgive people for taking a few weeks and going, wait a second, let me understand this. You could forgive that. But this is 4 years later. I don't think it's that hard to make that decision. And you look at the NHL guys what they've done in the last 24 hours is all we have been asking them to do for a year or more.
I'm not going to defend the NHL. That is very not my thing. But is it part of the problem? Is it both true and part of the problem to say that the bar is different for the NHL? I'm surprised anyone kneeled at all, pleasantly surprised. And when the Bucks stepped up, I was like, of course they did. Of course they did. That's the sort of thing the NBA does.
Yeah, Sterling Brown, who plays for the Bucks last year, was stopped in a parking lot unlawfully and then tasered. Like I expect that the team with that guy on it to be the leaders.
Yeah, who played in Wisconsin, typically.
Yeah. But you also want the white people in the situation to support them.
Right.
So the NHL was late, right? They were not the same day as the NBA, but then they canceled games for 2 days the following day. And I was like, I'll be honest. When they're like, yeah, they're considering it, I'm like, no, they're not. No, they're not, and they're going to play. Shut up. There's going to be games tomorrow. There's going to be games the next day. Shut up. The fact they canceled them, I'm surprised. So I'm torn somewhere between they should have been there sooner and, I mean, it's legitimate progress. Isn't it?
Oh, I agree. I don't know. I question the timing of it. Because, again, it comes at a time when everybody almost universally was like, even their own broadcaster, their partners. Rogers is a major partner for the NHL, is paying them $5.2 billion over 12 years. And their honor people are going, okay, who have to be somewhat careful sometimes, I would think, in how they criticize the NHL. I don't know.
This isn't me towing the company line. I didn't see those emails. I didn't speak to anybody about this.
No, I thought the emails were great. But what I'm saying is,
I've already told people, I love being part of the Sportsnet digital department, but I also love being out of the loop with the TV stuff because I like watching the TV and not knowing what's about to happen.
Right.
So when all that stuff happened, I was like, oh, I was as surprised as the rest of you.
Right, because we wouldn't expect that. And yet here we are. So that's great, but okay, now it's okay. So you've done 2 days, 3 days of this, but the support for the Diversity Alliance, for with Vander Kane and Matt Dumba and all those guys that have put this together, this can't stop now. So okay, we've said the NHL is late to the party, a little bit frustrated with that, a lot frustrated with that in a lot of circles, and rightfully so. Now it can't stop though. Mm-hmm. Now it's not like, okay, well, back to the game. Right. And the time is over where you can feign I didn't know what was going on in the world. Sorry, you all have Twitter. You all get the good comments when you win and the bad comments when you don't. You know what's going on in the world. You do know what's going on in the world. Alan Vigneault knows exactly what's going on in the world. That excuse is bullshit and it doesn't fall anymore. And there was that one Flyers reporter who asked, can you put? It doesn't even matter what his name is. The whole put the social issues aside, how do you feel about playing a back-to-back? Kyle Bukauskas did a brilliant drop into his report on, I believe it was Thursday or Friday morning, where he called that guy out. And he said, this is Kyle, a reporter who is notoriously not...
he's not an opinion.
No, he's not an opinion guy.
Just there to deliver facts.
Now, he's one of the best guys you'll ever meet. If you ever get to meet Kyle, he's great. But
he's even good at TikTok. He's so annoyingly talented.
Yeah, I know.
I'm like, get out of here, kid.
Guy, seriously. Grading on a curve.
He's 17.
Yeah.
He's 17, 6'9", full head of hair.
Hair of a god.
Not a single gray one.
Looks
get out of here,
perfect
Kyle.
In a suit. Looks perfect in a suit. Every suit he puts on, it's like perfect.
He's born in one.
Kyle put a drop in, and he played the clip, and he didn't even bother getting to the players' answers. He basically suggested this is not what we need. This is exactly what we don't need. And he called another reporter out. And reporters are often, they get each other on a level that we don't get, right? Oftentimes they don't want to do that, and I get that. And Kyle, good for him, man, called him right out for it because it was bullshit. And he knew, the reporter from Philly knew it was bullshit. He knew.
Yep.
He knew exactly what he was doing. He was trying to make a stand for him rather than the players. He was trying to say, this is what I think, but I'm couching it in a question to the players.
Yeah, and it was such a missed opportunity. I want to say, was it Matt Niskanen and James Van Riemsdyk? They were just deer in headlights. I guess they really weren't expecting it, and so they just answered the question.
Ugh.
Whereas they should have been like, we're not answering that.
Can I ask something? They put these guys through media training, right?
Yeah.
How can they be deer in headlights for a question like that? If your media training doesn't cover that, then it's not good enough. Time to consider better media training. And I'm not suggesting that has to be on the players. Teams, PA, NHL, time to upgrade the course a little bit, I think. You should be able to answer that question. You should be able to direct that conversation. True media training is when I ask a question, like I'll give you someone who's a master at it. I interviewed Taylor Swift. I've interviewed her a couple times. And Taylor Swift is a master at directing the conversation through her answers. Meaning, if you try to lean towards her personal life, if you try to lean towards her parents, if you try to do anything other than that album that she wants to talk about, she's going to pull it right back.
Adam, do you need help with your back after that name you dropped?
Well, listen, guys. Have I told you?
I know a guy.
Famous people once. No, but I'm using that as an example because if you try to veer off with Taylor Swift, she won't let you. She won't. Like she puts the wall up and puts the ball back into the court that she wants to play on. And I'm sort of surprised that these guys who were especially Van Riemsdyk, who played in Toronto, who's faced tough questions. Like, are you like?
Well, and he's a PA representative.
Yeah, and like, Philly is not. It's not a small market, man. Philly's tough.
No, he's only played in big markets.
They should have known. And Niskanen too. He's played in Washington, Pittsburgh, and now Philly. Come on.
But like, it doesn't surprise me that Brad Marchand spoke the way he did. Brad Marchand does not care. Like, he doesn't care what you think of him, and hockey just doesn't have enough of those. Like, is it fair to say that I feel like this is steering the conversation somewhere where it shouldn't go? NBA players are more confident than NHL players. More confident in themselves.
In the spotlight.
Yeah. In terms of in front of the media.
I don't think that's unfair.
In front of the media.
Yeah, in front of the media, I would 100% say that's true.
Yeah. And it's not about wanting the spotlight. I think it's just about not caring what people think about your opinion. You know what I mean? Not want, I in JVR, I'm just seeing, I don't want to cause problems for the Flyers. I'm not even in the lineup right now. Like I can maybe see that, but like Jonas is like, I'm the MVP. Kiss my ass. Like if you don't like it, or if you ask me a stupid question, they're not afraid to tell you to kick rocks.
Once you have FU money, you shouldn't worry about that stuff anymore, especially when it comes to an issue that's so easy. This is easy. This is
once you believe. I mean, Curtis Gabriel is all over his social media. I don't even know who that guy plays for. And he's probably made more money than us, but like, he's not a rich man. And he just says what he believes.
Yep.
Right. You don't need to be rich. You don't need to be rich to be like that.
Anyway, I want to say, just to wrap this, really like the direction that internally that Sportsnet has taken with this. That I quoted you from the Globe and Mail, so it's widely reported. I'm not speaking out of turn here. I'm glad that the NHL got involved. I want to see this go. I want to see this keep going. Now, as we talked about, this can't stop here. There's got to be actual concrete reform, and it just seems like, again, like, has anything changed in Kenosha? Is anything like we still don't know anything about like the police side of this. They still haven't released anything. We don't know a thing. And so this has to keep going until we have widespread change, systemic change, tangible change.
One of the things
And the NHL has got. Sorry, the NHL's got to jump on that.
Sorry, just to talk on the political side of what you were mentioning. One of the things I learned this weekend is that the police have, in most states, have a Bill of Rights that protect them against most, in terms of like charges or reform or change. That they have things that have been negotiated through union contracts that just prevent change. So right now, a lot of the community work is getting the police Bill of Rights just taken away. Just removing all of these rights that police officers have so that when bad things do happen, they can be held accountable, because they have it written down right now that you can't charge a police officer, that they have all of these rights if anything goes wrong, accidentally or not accidentally.
It's an abuse of the word rights.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So
that's a privilege.
Yeah. That's kind of the groundwork where all the communities are working right now. So if you know anything about that, if you want to go do more research, that's where I encourage you to start, because that's kind of the ground level base of how you start police reform, is just removing their rights so that things can actually change.
Right.
Anyway.
You know, the other thing that I really, and this isn't a total aside, when there were massive protests in the 60s with the civil rights movement and the anti-Vietnam protests.
You asked for Adam's History Corner, you got it.
No, yeah. We haven't done that in a while.
Here it is.
The thing that was really amazing is you had the biggest artists of the day and athletes, like you look at Muhammad Ali, obviously. But the biggest artists of the day, black and white, advocating for change and writing popular music to match it. And one thing I'm really disappointed in is the lack of like popular music that is protest. I think
you can have party anthems, but
they can be protest too.
Yeah,
I mean, there's some of the best songs are protest anthems. One of the best Creedence Clearwater Revival songs is there's several that are anti-Vietnam. Marvin Gaye's biggest songs are protest songs. I'm a little bit, and this is completely off topic for hockey, and I apologize, guys. I'm really kind of let down by the music industry. I think there's a formula that works and it plays and whatever. But this is like, what do we have to do to get some songs, some anthems behind this stuff?
I don't know, Adam. Your first name basis with Taylor Swift.
Crazy.
You tell me.
No, yeah, that's right. I'll ask Taylor.
No, I don't understand. Agree. There's been a complete silence from the top musical acts on these issues, even the black ones. Like we saw Drake in The Weeknd donate a bunch of money, but in terms of just speaking out with their words, you're not seeing that from the top acts in the music industry, and then they're not getting support from any of the white ones either.
No, and they'll do social media stuff.
Sure,
like I know Imagine Dragons will jump behind every good, as much as I can't stand their music, they'll jump behind every good cause there is. And I give them full marks for that. They're amazing for that.
Pete Blackburn just threw his phone into the ocean.
Yeah, I know. Cardi B will jump behind great causes and that sort of thing. And I love, I love her new song I love all of that stuff, but you gotta get.
How does it go? Sing it.
You know what? You need to look up,
So you're going to talk about Ben Shapiro again?
Ben Shapiro. You need to look
up. Oh
God. No, but it's where's the protest stuff, guys? Mm-hmm. I don't see it. That's like, especially for rock and roll, which I'm a rock guy. For rock, that's where they made their money, was being the anti-establishment. And it just seems like we've got a bunch of guys right now who are either trying to be the Arctic Monkeys or Nirvana, and there's no real protest. There's no real passion from our artists. And I'm a little disappointed. And now there's a ton of artists who are probably doing it without major label support, but it really doesn't do a lot of good if you don't have the distribution. You need the major artists to jump into the fire and take a risk. And oh no, maybe sales lag a little bit. Oh no, maybe you took a risk at the top of your career. But this is another thing for the music industry, and I'm actually surprised more people aren't saying stuff. It can't just be people in hip hop and rap. And you, Jesse, you said it. You don't even think that it's enough there. It's got to be everybody.
On that front, there are enough in hip hop and rap. Like Lil Baby dropped The Bigger Picture, which is all about police reform. Nas has a couple of songs on his album that dropped last week. Jay-Z and Pharrell.
Which is the least surprising because Nas is always doing that, right?
Yeah. Jay-Z and Pharrell just dropped a track last Friday, actually, that tackles some of the issues. So it happens in hip-hop, but the whole point of this is that we need to get past the people who are affected from it talking about it.
Also, Nas is 46.
Right.
Like, where's the next generation, guys?
Yeah.
That guy was born in 1973.
Yeah.
Can we get the next generation in there?
Yeah, Nas had like big hits when I was in grade 8. Like he's been around.
His debut album dropped in 92, I think.
I used to
91
download
or
Nas off Napster and Kazaa.
Yeah.
And even like Jay-Z and
Busta Rhymes
Pharrell.
music videos.
Jay-Z and Pharrell are in their 40s, and we're asking them to speak on it, you know?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But it'd be great if the artists use their platform like the way the athletes are using their platform. The athletes play basketball, they play hockey, they're using that. So the musicians, they make songs. They should make songs about it.
Mm-hmm.
And the mainstream ones.
Anyway, just an aside. Let's
How many of you did I ruin your day by saying Nas is 46? Nas is only 6 years older than Macaulay Culkin.
Oh my God,
There's
that's
one.
scary.
Did you see that tweet where he's like, guys,
Yeah.
I'm 40? Is it weird that I'm significantly younger than Macaulay Culkin and that made me feel old? You
I don't
what
know, man. I'm sure the movie came out when we were all young, so I'm assuming that no, it's probably not.
But I was like,
Home Alone's
he's
also
a
not
kid.
good.
Whoa! Whoa!
That's not a hot take.
What?
Home Alone's not. I've seen it once when I was fucking.
Okay,
10.
Home Alone 2 is better.
No.
Home Alone 2 is absolutely
Jesse,
better.
When you were 10, it was 2016. Like, all right.
Yeah, and it still wasn't good.
Yo, you know what show Jesse's never seen, Steve?
What?
No,
Saved by the Bell.
never seen it.
You know what, man? I didn't really ever see Saved by the Bell either.
Shut up!
No.
Shut up! Shut up! That's not fair. Yes, you did.
Saved by the
You're a
Bell came
liar.
out. Didn't it come out the year we were born?
So you didn't have PBS after school with Kelly Kapowski? Or no?
Yeah, I
TBS.
watched newer, better shows.
Yeah, I watched Hannah Montana.
God.
Like,
Hannah, see,
So
Jesse
upset.
is. I remember being.
There's a generational divide there.
That was the show that we made fun of in university, where we were like, we're not kids anymore.
oh
Like,
no,
Yes,
you
he
were
was.
actually a kid enjoying it.
the Hannah Montana is a fantastic show.
Man.
Ugh.
I was watching Hey Arnold. There was a golden age of YTV. It was. I would come home from school and it would be like Pokémon, Dragon Ball Z, Hey Arnold, and then Raw would come on, and I would watch highlights from WrestleMania 14 of Stone Cold Steve Austin beating up Shawn Michaels. It was the best time of my life. Anyway,
Hey, man, who says that growing up in front of the TV turns out that bad? We all did.
look at me.
You're
I'm
okay.
normal.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
Somewhat.
how you learn. That's how I learned all my life lessons.
Yeah,
It all
true.
wraps up in 30 minutes, and it's all nice.
Yeah, it's just clean, right?
Yeah.
Life is so clean.
All their
Hey,
problems get solved. and
so
it's all
let's-
neat and nice.
I want to quickly mention this. There's the Hockey Diversity Alliance presented some next steps, and then we're going to move on to the series here. They are asking the NHL and the NHLPA to increase the number of black executives in the NHL to 3.5% before the end of the 2024-2025 season. They're asking the NHL to implement anti-racism and unconscious bias education within the NHL to make it mandatory for all league employees before the start of next season. And thirdly, provide funding to the HDA, the Hockey Diversity Alliance, to create and maintain grassroots hockey development that will introduce, develop, and support sorry, I can't read properly. To support minor hockey across the country, across both countries, to create anti-racism and unconscious bias training for use in minor hockey leagues across North America, and to support social justice initiatives that target racism and access to justice for members of the Black, Indigenous, and racialized communities. Also, do want to say a few NBA and NHL teams have stepped up and they're using their stadiums to increase access to voting. So like polling for the November election, which is great as well. Either it doesn't matter how you vote. On that one, I think you just the access to voting is really going to make things. That's where we restore faith in the governments that we have if we feel like our votes count.
Nothing about more people legally voting should scare you, and if it does, I need you to take a good long think.
Bingo. Let's go to Vegas and Vancouver. So Vegas jumped out last night to a 2-goal lead. despite Vancouver's pretty amazing first period. And I'm not sure how much of this game you guys caught, but Vancouver looked great. Like, they're a really good team. It's scary. Now,
I told you.
Vegas still scored. And Vancouver, I thought that power play in the second period was where Vancouver's going to jump back into it. But obviously, too many men call on the power play is just going to just kill you.
I'm trying to think of the last time I've ever seen that.
It's and it's probably just excitement. Like we're going to get back in this and somebody calls out something. Like, I never know. It's weird. I never know how that happens at the NHL level. Like, how is it possible? Right. The Leafs were the kings of bench minors when Babcock was the coach. What happens? Who is that on? It's frustrating.
You'd think assistants?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Who calls out the lines? Doesn't the head coach call out the lines?
Yes, actually. There's that creepy gif of Babcock tapping the Matthews line and they all go at the same time.
It's funny your takeaway from the game early on was that Vancouver was better than Vegas, because I looked at it as, okay, it's 4 shots and Vegas scored twice. It was 2-0 right away on 4 shots. And after that, it's score effects. Like, it was a 5-on-3 for Vancouver. It was like towards the end of the first period, and they didn't score. It was like for over a minute, and they couldn't pot anything. And then after that, it's okay. We're gonna run up the shots. The shots are gonna even up eventually. And then Mark Stone puts away and he makes it 3-0.
I only said the first period. I only said the first period.
Right. The first period was dominated after it was 2-0.
Nice,
Vegas.
Stupid opinion, Adam.
I just think that you fucking suck.
I looked at that game. I'm like, oh, Vegas is just better.
They are. But we expected that. The fact that Vancouver got up, and I know this sounds silly, and I'm not trying to be patronizing, but this Vancouver team, the fact that they took 1 of 3 periods from Vegas in this game is still, you have to look at it like grading on a curve here. Vegas should win every game in this series. Vegas is that good, and they almost have.
This team reminds me so much of the 16-17 Leafs, which we still look back on so fondly. Like, just this team that we didn't really have many expectations for, but surprised us at almost every turn.
Yeah.
And if you're a Canucks fan, are you not playing with house money?
Yes.
Like, is this, you beat the Blues in the first round and won a qualifier to get here. So you've won 2 rounds of playoff hockey, whether you refer to it as the Stanley Cup playoffs or not. And now you're giving Vegas, who some people have as the odds-on favorite to win the whole Stanley Cup, you're giving them hell. You're giving them absolute hell. Now, before the series began, I believe I said Vegas would win in 7, but Vancouver would.
No, you picked Vancouver on this show.
Did I?
Yeah.
See, I think this is the one series where I picked one team in one video and another in another. But I knew it was going to be tight, and I picked Vancouver with my heart. My brain knows Vegas is the better team. And if Vancouver wins, they're going to need some luck. And last night, what are you going to do? Robin Leonard shut you out twice.
Yeah.
Twice. It's almost like he's good.
It's rough. And that's the thing. And then so the word on the street today is Marc-Andre Fleury will start for Vegas today as they play it back-to-back.
Just awesome.
Which is hilarious.
Can you not wait?
It's going to be fun. And it's at 6 o'clock tonight, too. It's a nice early game. That's Dallas and Colorado.
And if he pitches a shutout, you can't expect to play the next game. The other guy's got 2.
I don't understand why you wouldn't start Robin Leonard again.
It's back-to-back, right?
No. What?
So what?
Yeah, it's
you have a goalie that is shutout. What are you trying to do? Like, are we trying to? Okay, is this really where we're at? Where we're going to be like, well, his feelings. Who fucking cares?
I wonder if Robin Leonard was approached and he was like, you know what, give it to Flower.
Yeah, but you shouldn't ask Robin Leonard. You should say, Robin, you just had a shutout. We're putting you back in the net because we're trying to win the cup. We're not trying to win the Feelings Cup. We're trying to win the Stanley Cup.
The problem is Marc-Andre Fleury ass. The problem is who is better. They've started the better goalie throughout this series. I don't really have a problem with them going to Fleury in this game.
I have a problem because I picked Vegas in this series.
But
my ass is on the line here.
This is Fleury's ass is on the line here. And if he stinks, you're done. You don't get a chance to get in the rest of the
Why are we doing this in the second round,
This isn't the time.
Do you think that the Leafs would have been like, if the Leafs had made it this far, you know what? It's a back-to-back. Although with Babcock, they probably would have. It's a back-to-back. Freddie, I know you got us here this far, but let's just throw Jack Campbell in there just to see. Just Jack's got to draw in a little bit, right? Like, I mean, come on, we got to win together as a team, and this is cool and whatever. No, this is what Alan Walsh accomplished his goal. This is what he wanted. Right. He won.
Damn it,
Alan Walsh is a great agent. He's great.
You're right.
This is insane.
You're right.
And they caved. McCrimmon, DeBoer, all of you guys, you caved. Your better goalie is Robin Leonard. And don't tell me he's tired. It's the playoffs. He just had 4 days off.
Yeah.
3 days off.
You know, I think...
And he's 30 and he's in the prime shape of his life. Come on.
That Sam Karkidi thing with the Flyers, I immediately was like, okay, he's already sowing the seeds for if the Islanders win this series, he's going to blame it on the postponement. Mm-hmm. What happens if Fleury completely blows it and Vancouver comes back and wins this series?
That's on the head coach.
Then I would be, if I'm the owner, I'm looking at the GM and head coach and going, what the hell were you guys thinking?
Yeah.
You took out the goalie, unless Leonard's got an injury. If Leonard gets an injury, fair. If he like, let's say he's got, like, goalies always have something going on with their hips or their groin. So if you got a pull groin, hip flex or whatever, and you're like, and the training staff says to you, hey, listen, it would be better if, for the long-term prospects of this team, that he didn't play. I get it. You do have a tandem for a reason. But please don't make this about the feelings part. Please don't let that be the reason. Please.
How many teams are still in the playoffs who, without need due to injury, started 2 goalies?
Let me have a look. The Avalanche.
The Oilers. Oilers are out.
Yeah.
Avalanche have, but they needed to.
Yeah. Knights, Canucks, no. Flyers. The Knights did because I think he's played. Fleury did play the first game.
That's true.
Flyers,
Penguins. Penguins are done.
Yeah. I'm just looking at the
Hurricanes, done.
Yep.
The Bruins are a unique situation, and Rask, I believe, was hurt.
Yeah.
No.
And that's
it's the
we'll get to it.
Yeah.
But yeah, no.
Yeah, no. It's you need a starter, man. You got to pick a guy.
You know what?
You're right. I'm trying to look at it, and you know what? You know why I'm defending it? I love it as a story.
Oh, it's great.
I love it as a story.
I don't hate the fact that it's a great story.
Anyone who is not totally sure, I don't know, I got work tomorrow. You gotta watch Vegas, Vancouver now. You have to just to see. Don't you just want to see? If he gets a shutout, it's an awesome story. If he gets lit up, it's an awesome story. If he wins or loses, it's an awesome story. But the only guy we're talking about, and this is to Adam's point, the only guy we're talking about is Fleury. We're not talking about Vegas winning or losing. We're talking about Marc-Andre Fleury winning or losing. Mm-hmm. We weren't doing that with Leonard. Nope. Leonard is Vegas's goalie. There are 2 goalies in this series, Vegas's goalie and Marc-Andre Fleury.
Marc-Andre Fleury better have the game of a lifetime. Now, Tampa and Boston, the series is becoming a little bit uneven now. In the last 6 periods, Tampa has outscored Boston 11-2. Now, let me ask you guys a question. Steve, Jesse, you both played hockey informally.
Barely.
How many games do you think you could win if you were outscored 11-2 over 6 periods? If you're the guy scoring 2 goals, how many games do you think you can win?
I could win like 2.
You could win 1.
I would need 2 shutouts.
You could win 1-2-0. No, you can't. You can't have 2 shutouts because you're 11-2 in 6 games or in 2 games.
Oh, then I could win 1. Games. I could win 1 for sure.
You could. You might. Maybe.
Just have one really bad night and then come back and persevere.
One really bad game.
Okay, well.
We had that with Rachel's Raiders this year.
That's true.
Actually, we won our first game. You guys showed up. We lost. And then we had our 3rd game and we won.
Ian Tulloch was talking about
carried the team.
Ian Tulloch was talking about zone entries on the bench. I'm not kidding. He's committed.
Showed up late for the first game, got dressed on the bench, hungover, talking about zone entries. Shut up. With your red socks, you knew we had yellow jerseys. Shut up. Looking like Ronald McDonald. Shut up!
I love you, Ian.
I don't. Shut up!
Boston fans cannot put this on Tuukka Rask.
No.
If you don't score, you can't put it on Jarro Halak either. If you don't score, you don't win.
Yeah.
And Halak's been very good since Tuukka left until the last couple games. But the reality is Boston just hasn't been that good. And it has nothing to do with their goaltending. You don't score, you don't win.
Yeah, and 2 of those goals last game weren't his fault. They were
exactly.
They're weird bounces.
And the thing is that you may not even win one game with 2 goals. Like that may not be enough. 2 goals over 2 games?
What if Tampa is an absolute wagon? Like what if last year was last year? Victor Hedman was not even close to 100%, probably shouldn't have been playing at all. And not only are they playing talented, they're playing mad.
Yeah.
Like we keep talking about Vegas. Look how good Vegas is. Vegas. The Islanders are an amazing story right now. Mm-hmm. And if they have the lead, it's a death sentence. Tampa versus the Islanders is going to be fascinating if that's the way it ends up playing out, because I don't know how you stop this.
Unstoppable force meets immovable object.
Yeah, but that was the first round. That was Columbus.
No, but
that's what they do.
They're way more talented. Islanders are way more talented than Columbus.
Yeah, but they play the same.
Fair, but the Islanders they don't have the deficit of talent. Like, it was a shock. No one shocked the Islanders are in the second round. No one. They're a good team. They won the division last year. They're not this is not a joke. Columbus, it was like, oh wow, we're happy to be here this year. This is if the Islanders go through, but for the record, I picked Philly. But if the Islanders go through and they have to play Tampa, it will be fascinating. The whole defense wins championships. We'll see. Now, I want to read something.
Tampa's good at that too.
I know. What just going to say. I wanted to read something from Joe Smith, who is a great reporter for Tampa, works for The Athletic. The Lightning came into this season focusing on some key areas defensively, cutting down on slot chances, odd man rushes, and penalties. And it should be noted that while the Lightning are a heavier, harder to play against team, thanks to Blake Coleman and stuff like that, they've been more disciplined. They've been the more disciplined team in the series. Wouldn't you just love to take that quote and staple it to The Athletic Toronto for next season? That's all the Leafs really need to do. I mean, they need a little more talent on the back end. But cutting down slot chances and odd man rushes and bad penalties.
You know what's probably going to kill you as a Bruins fan? 7 guys on the Lightning played over 5 minutes on the power play last game, and 2 guys played 4:57. So really, it's 9 guys played 5 minutes or more on the power play. That can't happen. And I know a lot of that is Nick Ritchie and that major, but holy Moses, you cannot win playing like that. You can't. I don't care how good your penalty kill is.
Especially against Tampa.
You need to operate.
You might be able to beat the Leafs like that.
Yeah, probably.
Probably could actually beat the Leafs like that. But.
Probably. I think. See the way we're talking. Like, we would talk ourselves into no, the Leafs, they're just the luck, and now we're just like, no, they suck. Like, we're talking confidently. We're like, no, they're bad.
Yeah, well, that's how I know Dubas is playoffs.
No, I know.
Sitting here acting like they were good about a team who didn't make the playoffs.
No, they were bad all season. They were bad. They had one 20-game stretch that they were good.
With the Kadri trade, we talked ourselves. The CC trade, we talked ourselves into it. Now we're just like, no. Absolutely not. Sorry, that was my little.
I'd also like to point out that the Lightning and Bruins series is unfolding exactly as how I predicted. Thank you. I'm Jesse,
and I'm right.
As well as every other series that I predicted.
Are you right across the board right now?
Across the board. Thank you very much. Keep going, Adam.
I've had an awful playoff, man.
Have you ever hated someone so much that you hated them?
No, maybe you guys should.
Damn. When you said that, I felt that.
What's next? What else am I right? Go ahead.
I don't fucking know, Jesse. What is next?
Yeah.
Flyers, Islanders. Steve, you mentioned it earlier. Sort of hate it, but Islanders fans are enjoying the fact that there are several Toronto Maple Leafs doing extremely well in Toronto for the Islanders.
Leo Komarov, Matt Martin, banging in goals last night, banging in goals. And it's funny. I had a moment of peace with it because it wasn't like Alex Steen going on to have a near Hall of Fame career after trading him away for nothing.
Yeah.
This is Komarov and Martin make a combined, I think it's $5.5 million for like a combined 35 points or something like that. They're not Leafs for obvious reasons. That's a lot of money, man.
Mm-hmm.
And the Islanders can afford to have them together. Most teams, I think, would not want to do that. But the thing with Martin is I thought 2.5 was too much for him. It was never he can't play hockey. We know he can play hockey, and we especially know he can step up his intensity in the playoffs. I liked him in the Washington series. And he assisted on the Kapanen goal in double overtime. He was instrumental in that. And Leo Komarov, everyone's like, oh, Leo Komarov. He's been busted up, but like Leo Komarov can play hockey and score. I'm not shocked. Neither of them are bad hockey players. It's maybe surprising they scored in the same game. You know what I mean? But then, people are talking about the grit, and the toughness. And I'm like, you know what? That is a thing that the Leafs could use.
Mm-hmm.
Could use. Note the language. They need 6 NHL defensemen, which the New York Islanders have, right? The Leafs could pull a Brinks truck up to Barry Trotz's house and hire him to be their coach tomorrow. They're not playing like the Islanders. This is not how they're built.
No.
At all. And one thing we know about Komarov is he's a soldier. He'll do what the coach says. He'll do what the coach needs him to do. You need me to be the team's top goal scorer? Okay, that seems like a bad idea, but I'll do it. Like, hey, do you need me to be on the shutdown line? All right, I'll do it. You need me to be a prick in the corner? Okay, I'll do it. We know he's a soldier. So everyone tweeting me like, oh, it's definitely a ha-ha moment, but
For sure. And
I've never thought either player sucked.
Yeah,
I did. No, I'm kidding.
And just on their goals last night, if you watch the play unfold, both of them happened because of turnovers at the blue line, and it just seemed like defensively, I know Niskanen and Provorov as a pair didn't have a great night, and defensively the Flyers just weren't there because Hart was as usual. He was great, but the rest of the team didn't show up in front of him. And if you have no defense, as the Leafs prove, as good as your goalie is, you can't win. And just if Philly could just get some of that together, those turnovers, they'd be a lot better. But the Islanders just look so good.
If only Alain Vigneault could take that singular focus that he has, that he's able to block out the rest of the world and impart some of that to his team.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you know what? You spend 20 hours a day, you better win.
Yeah, you make a comment like that, you better win. Come on.
Oh, nothing gets by you. That's hilarious. That's hilarious.
He set himself up for that one.
Good for you.
Anyway, we obviously have Dallas and Colorado playing tonight. They start at 6 o'clock Eastern time, which is nice for us in the East as well. And I guess it's pretty cool when you live in the West because you get to see games that start at like 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yeah. So like NFL football starts at like 9.
Yeah.
It must be the best.
Oh, it must be great. Oh, it's
jealous.
And I remember Calgary, you could go to the bar and you'd watch Premier League starting at like 7 a.m. so that people would be drinking. You'd have your Irish coffees. And then the NFL would start right after. And it would be 9 or 10 a.m. And you just go all day.
That's awesome.
Great. It's the best.
Imagine living like that and being mad. How?
I don't know, Sway. I don't know.
That sounds amazing. I love the look on Kadri's face after his team blew a substantial lead in a playoff game, and then his team came back to win it anyway. Yeah, nice. I've never seen this before.
Imagine.
What a fun turn of events. That's what his face said. Good for Nas. Cheering for him. Sorry, Dallas.
I want to throw out there that James Myrtle
Boo.
was on TSN 1260
Boo.
with Low Tide
Wait, where's TSN 1260?
Edmonton.
Boo.
Talking about the segment was sort of introduced as, the Leafs and Oilers for a while now seem like good prime trade partners. But I feel like that might have been the case a couple years ago or even last year, but now I don't sense that anymore. I don't see a fit because I don't see the Oilers letting go of pieces that the Leafs would actually want. Everybody on the Oilers seems to think that, or everybody who's in Oilers fandom is like, well, we have this defenseman we don't like. The Leafs need just people. So why don't we just send Adam Larsson to the Leafs? And Adam Larsson at $4 million isn't bad, but he can't transition the puck. And if you've watched any Leafs hockey in the last few years, they have like 2 guys who can transition the puck, and thanks to Justin Hall, now 3. That's not enough at the NHL level. So bringing on another guy at $4 million, even if it's for just a season, who cannot, yes, he can defend. Well, Cody Ceci could defend, but if you can't transition that puck out of the zone, what use are you? You don't have a role. And so this idea that the Leafs somehow really want Adam Larsson, James Myrtle mentioned that he said, they might have 30 guys on their list. Adam Larsson's near the bottom. If they end up with him, okay, fine, but they're not going to be thrilled.
The Leafs this season on defense were surviving at the cost of thriving. And
Yes.
Acquiring Adam Larsson seems like it would be another move along those lines.
Yes, 100%. So, James did mention that, the Leafs would have interest in Darnell Nurse. Well, who the hell wouldn't, right? Guy's great.
Yeah.
So that's a nothing sort of comment. People are like, well, it could be, yeah, of course they'd have interest in Darnell Nurse, just like they'd have interest in Alex Pietrangelo. They'd have interest in Sidney Crosby if he was available for the right price, but they can't get him. The one
Crosby
guy that
for Hyman, who says no?
Whoa, good point.
See, Hyman provides something that the Leafs don't have in abundance, though.
Yeah,
It's true.
Then, what do you do with the Matthews line? I don't know.
Freddie Anderson, though, was mentioned as a potential by Low Tide, mentioned as a potential candidate to be on the Edmonton goaltending tandem next year. Because I'm assuming, even though we did talk about a couple episodes how the Oilers would be willing to bring back Mike Smith, let's not pretend that they're like, yes, please, God, give me some more of that Mike Smith stuff. Right? He's like 38 years old. Yes, he's an option. But let's be frank. If they could get a guy like Freddie Anderson for the right price for them, that would make a lot of sense. Freddie Anderson's name keeps coming up. And there's smoke here, guys. There's smoke, Steve.
There is smoke. And it's interesting. The Leafs and Oilers talked about Connor Brown, right? It's obvious the Leafs and Oilers want to make a deal or have wanted to make a deal for
that was with a different GM, by the way, though. That was Chiarelli. Yeah.
That's true. Same GM, though, Adam, along those same lines, same wavelength. We just missed by a few miles. I was thinking another Alberta team. Twitter, when someone responds to an old tweet, it brings up the whole thread. And someone who I follow with a locked account was tweeting at Pierre LeBrun, asking him a question based on a couple tweets he had in April 2018. He tweeted, and I do not recall this being a thing, but it's Pierre effing LeBrun, so I just missed it. Also worth remembering how hard Calgary tried to land Anderson, as in Frederick. Ducks wanted a bit more from the Flames since they were a Pacific Division rival. The price was deemed too high by Calgary. The Leafs got him for a low first-round pick, who ended up being Sam Steele, plus a second-round pick in 2017. I think Anaheim wanted to flip the first-round picks with Calgary as a part of that deal. Calgary had a high pick, took Matthew Tkachuk, so can't blame Calgary for saying no. On the other hand, how much does Anderson in Calgary change things? And what would the Leafs have done if they didn't get Anderson?
Well, the Leafs would never have made the playoffs in 16-17 without Freddie Anderson.
100%. You're
Not a
right.
chance.
But that was not the expectation.
No.
Unless you're exactly one person.
Nobody would have faulted
Leafs
them for that.
No, exactly. So, but what's interesting though is neither team in Edmonton has a 100% starter. I mean, the Oilers should. Mm-hmm. At this point, Mikko Koskinen is the starter. It's just if you ask their coaching staff, I guess not. And Calgary doesn't either, really. They got Neuwirth and Talbot. It's confusing.
Rittich.
Oh, Rittich. What, Neuwirth?
Neuwirth.
What
okay?
Sorry. Here, let me.
Neuwirth.
Dehydrated.
Woo!
What the?
Yeah, been a while.
Big save Dave Rittich. It's because I never say his friggin' name. And Cam Talbot. It was confusing because they switched goalies. And also I had Michael Neuwirth on the brain for some reason. I had my 2018 brain on. The Leafs and Flames were rumored to have a deal done, a significant deal done last summer. And the person who said no was Nazem Kadri. Mm-hmm. So Brad Treliving and Kyle Dubas pulled the trigger. Naz pulled out the Captain America shield and said no. The Oilers and Leafs sounded like they were this close on a Connor Brown deal because the Oilers want offense. Mm-hmm. They want a winger. The Leafs don't have Connor Brown anymore, but they still have what the Oilers are looking for. There could be a lot of all-Canadian moves to be made here. Mm-hmm. It's very, very interesting. But the Oilers, the Flames to me are the far more interesting conversation because the Flames have something the Leafs lack, which is defense, and the Leafs have something the Flames lack, which is a 50 to 60 game starter.
Fully. Yeah.
Right? Whereas I look at the Oilers and I'm like, guys, we both have horrible D-cores. What's okay, so the Leafs are going to give you a scoring winger or something like that, and you're going to give us what? Right? Unless you're confident you can get a free agent, which the Oilers are never confident they can do. Why would you give a significant part of your D-core? I would love parts of their D-core, but I don't know how the Oilers replace them, and I think they feel the same way, so why would they do it? If the Leafs can dupe them, do it.
What's interesting,
it's frustrating.
And you're not going to
They can dupe them.
Yeah, looking
at a Leafs Oilers trade is so frustrating because I can't find a deal. Remember last show where I was like, well, if you did, and now all of a sudden it's a 16-part trade, and they shouldn't be doing it. The Leafs and Flames, to me, it's a much easier conversation because I think there's an easy deal to be made.
And interesting with Brad Treliving because there's been a lot of talk about trading Johnny Gaudreau. If Brad Treliving and that team do not do well next year, if they don't get into the second round, his job there is gone. It's gone.
I would argue it should be done this year.
I don't think that you're wrong, Jesse, but because they haven't done it yet, my assumption is that they're going with him. And I would agree with you, but I think they're going to go with him one more season. Or at least into the, like the Mike Babcock one more season, as in like, we'll give you 20 games. We'll see how the team does. Calgary should do well in the regular season. Now, hold on. If you're Brad Treliving, trading Johnny Gaudreau, unless you get a huge upgrade, doesn't make a lot of sense because you're basically lame duck GM territory, right? Even I don't know what his contract is. It doesn't really matter. You are not going to be the general manager of this team if this team does not go to the second round. You got to win the division. You got to go to the second round. So what do you need to do that? Certainly isn't trading Johnny Gaudreau. You need Johnny Gaudreau to perform in the playoffs, but he can do it in the regular season. He's got is he career 0.93 points per game? Like that. That's a guy you need in the regular season to get. That's the first step. So I don't know if it does make a lot of sense that he gets traded this year. I could see it maybe next year. So in the meantime, Calgary's dealing from probably a position of strength in defense. I mean, they've got some really good young prospects and stuff that are coming up too. I'd love to see if they get the goalie situation solidified there with Anderson and you got Big Save Dave to back him up.
Michael Neuwirth.
That's a pretty solid looking team, you think, on paper.
What are the Flames?
Don't put Freddie in any big games. No, I'm kidding. But
what are the? Oh,
just don't go to the seventh game, guys. That's it. No, I'm kidding. That's not fair. That's really not fair.
Well, no, it's actually it's a perfect relationship. because the Flames never make it that far. Perfect relationship. So here, how do you? Okay, what?
1 year of Freddie Anderson and 1 year of
Flames-
TJ Brody.
What's the Flames' best attribute?
They're sick jerseys.
Okay,
The Flames have great
second.
jerseys. The Flames have
do.
always had great
Yeah.
jerseys.
Having
Great
great
jerseys.
players leave and then being forced into retirement and then coming back and
Wow.
honoring them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kai Bosch trades with the Bruins. No, so their defense to me. Now, we look at the teams that are doing the Metapod thing. Columbus does a good Metapod.
Which is what, Steve? You gotta explain that to people. Not
Sorry, I
everybody
always
watched
forget.
Pokemon.
I forget that I've talked about it before. So Metapod is a Pokemon that only can do defense. It has no offensive attacks except for the weird rare ones that can tackle. Now, what they just do is harden and harden and harden, and that's how they defend themselves, basically. Columbus does a good job of that. Now, how do they do that? They have really good defense.
Mm-hmm.
They have a forward core that buys into that, and they have a good goaltender behind it. What do the Islanders have? They have a good defensive core. They have a good goalie behind it, and they have forwards that buy into the defensive identity of the team. To me, with the Flames, I see a team that could do that if they had the proper goalie. And Big Save Dave has proven he can be that at times, but it's not enough. Frederik Anderson playing behind that D-core, if they trade Johnny Gaudreau and it takes away from their offense, but it provides something else for them, if it provides more of a nuisance, like I think about the identity of the Calgary Flames, I think Mark Giordano, they're good defense. And I also think about Matthew Tkachuk.
Yeah.
If your identity becomes, it's you come to our building and play us, you're going to have a miserable time. If that's your identity, I think it gives you a better chance of winning. Does Johnny Gaudreau help with that identity? I don't think so. And this isn't a Tyler Seguin situation. Although now that I'm thinking about it, we're talking about a player who fans love, but the organization views as kind of a pain in the ass, but he's extremely talented. How do you get fair value for him? Johnny Gaudreau's a little older than him, and he doesn't have a Stanley Cup. Tyler Seguin did when he was moved. Different situations, but still. I do see a situation where they could trade Johnny Gaudreau and become better. It just depends what's coming back. They need an identity. We keep talking about this with the Flames. I don't know what they are. So if they trade Johnny Gaudreau, it's not necessarily – we keep seeing these deals where we're like, oh, my God, they got fleeced. And then everyone just seems to have a career year after that. If the Flames can find a deal for him that gives them an identity, not strengthens it because they don't have one. If they can make a Johnny Gaudreau trade that gives them an identity, I could see them making noise next year. But they need a goalie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, interesting. It would be an interesting landing spot. Lastly, on the news docket, we had the news break over the cancellation break that Dale Tallon, who is now no longer the general manager of the Florida Panthers, is being investigated by the NHL for potentially using a racial slur. We do know that it was a very odd quote that he didn't know that I believe it was Matt Dumbo didn't know that he was a player of color, and he said he didn't see color or something like that. But beyond that, it's a situation where I'm not totally clear on where they're at with that investigation. It's been very quiet. So I'm basically just going to leave you with that. You know, you can look into all the reports and stuff, but there's very little known on that.
Yeah, I didn't.
And it's just
I was confused as to whether or not he was fired because of it or not.
Yeah, that's the thing. I don't think that's been confirmed either way. I don't think they know.
Yeah, there's just I don't know if there's enough to talk about here.
Right.
The Matt Dumba quote was wild.
Just crazy. That's the thing that stands out. But I'm just gonna say I don't know enough to really dive into this one because I don't know enough. Like I just don't think there's enough that's confirmed information. So we're gonna put that on the back burner, but we should acknowledge that it's happening, that the investigation is ongoing, and then acknowledge that there's a GM search in the works right now. It looks like Kevin Weeks, Chris Drury, Peter Chiarelli, all in. But apparently today, the report was that Chris Drury is now no longer in the running, former NHL player. Kevin Weeks apparently still is, but the front runner seems to be Pete Chiarelli.
No. All right. Who is the Panthers' best young player? Because they're gone.
So, Steve, you were mentioning a stat off the top of the show with Roberto Luongo and the Florida Panthers.
Yes. I don't remember the exact stat, but I know the important parts. Luongo played over 500 games as a member of the Florida Panthers in his 2 stints there over the course of 11 seasons. He played 6 playoff games as a member of the Florida Panthers. 6! That is unacceptable. Now, the good news for the Panthers is we know they're going to have a good draft because they don't have their own 5th rounder, but they do have the Leafs that they got for Michael Hutchinson, and you know that's going to be a Hockey Hall of Fame player. But, man, we talk about futility in the NHL. The Leafs have been very frustrating. They haven't been able to win a playoff series. The Sabres have not been able to get into the playoffs for a long time, but they had a pretty good run before that. What have the Panthers done since 1996? Like, for real, they're awful. They're awful. They really need to find a way to be relevant because we often rag on teams, and we drag Calgary into this conversation. We rag on teams where every year we're like, well, here they come. Here they come. Is that not the Panthers in a nutshell? Like Barkov at 5.9, Huberdeau at 5.9, wicked deals. This team's going to be amazing, and they just never with anything with the Florida Panthers. Whoever gets in there needs to make noise and make this team relevant for the love of God. Give them some kind of results because they haven't done anything, and they basically squandered the prime years, or many of the prime years, of one of the best goaltenders of the last quarter century. That's all.
Aaron Ekblad is a name that keeps coming up with Leaf fans, and I don't know why.
It's not what the team needs.
It'd be great to have him. But
it's great, but is it going to push the needle to make this team a playoff team?
I think he's a higher-end defenseman, for sure. I think that, he's a very, 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 very good hockey player. I'm curious as to what people think they're going to give up to get him. Going to be a lot.
Yeah.
Going to be a lot. You sure you're ready for that?
Okay. I think it was Ray Ferraro I was listening to. He was talking about Leafs priorities. And we keep talking, I think we talk too generally. With the Leafs need defense. Well, no shit. You know what they need, for the love of God? Morgan Rielly's defense partner.
Yes.
But worry about his contract later. He's going to be a Leaf for what, 2 more years? Get him a defense partner for those 2 years, for the love of God. Cody Ceci, Tyson Barrie,
Ron Hainsey,
Nikita Zaitsev, Dion Phaneuf. For the love of God, Aaron Ekblad would be the best one by a mile, by a country mile. So I'm not going to laugh at any name that shoots right and is good at hockey.
I'm not laughing. I'm saying, how do you get him?
Yeah.
I'd love Aaron Ekblad.
That's a good.
How do you get him?
Man? How do you get it? Well, he does put up points, right? He's obviously a significant part of the Florida Panthers. But this is going to be interesting because the salary cap has made it difficult for the Leafs to flex their financial might unless it's in a deal with the Ottawa Senators, which they always find a way to make a goofy deal with the Ottawa Senators. It's been several months since they made one. I'm kind of wondering if it's around the corner, just waiting to jump out. But this kind of seems like a decent place to start, doesn't it? Team with a new GM, looking to do something, looking to get his team relevant, and may legitimately have some cash troubles.
Well, if you're going to use that as the framework, are the Coyotes not another example?
They absolutely are.
And they have some that roster The roster construction there is not great.
It's a mosaic.
Oof.
There's, we talk about a identity. The Coyotes are a collection of players I like that do not work together.
So for everybody that's mad about the Mitch Marner contract, still mad about the Mitch Marner contract, how do you feel about paying 7.125 to 40-point Clayton Keller? The last 2 seasons, 40-point guy, Clayton Keller. How do you feel about that? I'll take the $11 million Mitch Marner over that. Mitch Marner, who probably is going to get 100 points here soon.
This is the thing. Like, he could get 80 points in a disappointing season.
Right. Like, this is...
He's still really good.
Like, this is... I think context is important. Somebody brought up, they're like, well, what would it take to... with the Leafs flip... this is in my DMs. Would the Leafs flip their first for Chalmerson? I said, absolutely not. One year of Chalmerson who's 35? No. But
1 year, 1 year and 32 games.
Yes. But
Maybe.
there's a guy where if he's healthy, that's not a bad 5-6.
Well, that was another part of the segment I was listening to. They're like, oh, Tanev. Like,
ooh, if he's playing. He had a healthy year, but is he playing?
Ekblad's in the if he's playing conversation too. But like, maybe that's all you can do is the if he's playing conversation. I would take a look at Ekblad, but I wouldn't
heavily in their medical staff.
I want Tyler
so what's Ekblad's contract?
Just for fun. His cap hit is 7.5. But what's interesting is he's got a very Leaf-like contract, actually.
Front loaded.
It's a lot of signing bonus this year. So this ship has already sailed. This year makes $5 million base salary, $4 million signing bonus. So he makes $9 million this year. What a weird deal. Here's how it goes, by the way, in terms of actual money. 9 mil, 7 mil, 9 mil, 6 mil, 9 mil, 6 mil, 7 mil, 7 mil. What? And the signing bonus goes 5, 3, 4, 4, 3, 4, 3, 3. Who? Why? Why is it structured this way? Because it's signing bonus heavy, it looks like a Leaf deal. I'm really struggling to understand why the Panthers did it exactly this way. I think we're maybe thinking about them wrong because they're not. They don't make any money, but they're not necessarily cash poor because of ownership. But it just feels like something could work here. But like this upcoming season, because he only makes 6, I bet Ekblad plays the next season in Florida, and then he's moved because then he goes back up to 9, and his signing bonus.
Well, they're trying to shed salary too.
No.
That's going to be if Chiarelli takes over. The first order of business is shedding salary.
Adam, when you were bringing up the potential GM candidates, did you bring up Eddie Olchuk?
Oh, is he in the running? No, I didn't.
Yeah, apparently he's in the running too, and that's very odd. Just
television analysts are front runners.
Yeah.
Kevin Weeks and Eddie Olchuk.
Yeah, they're taking broadcasters and seeing if they want to run the team.
Pierre Maguire has been second in line for about 20 years now. I don't know that you have to have a huge brain to be a general manager based on some of the moves I've seen. I think what you need to do is have the right assistants. Surround yourself with people that are smarter than you. I think you got to be ballsy enough to put your career on the line and say, I'm going to make this trade, and it's scary. But if you have the right people in your analytics department, if you believe in that, which I do, obviously, if you have the right people in your scouting staff, that's your job as the general manager. So a guy like Eddie Olchuk would know a lot of people in the NHL. So you hire sometimes these general managers, and this goes for any industry, just based on the people that they know. What's the staff going to look like when we put this team of people together? Kevin Weeks, the same thing. Kevin Weeks has been around the game for 30 years. Like, he knows who's smart and who isn't. He would have a really good read on that. If I am Doug Sifu in the Florida Panthers ownership, I need a guy who has those connections. That's, to me, why Eddie Olchuk makes a lot of sense. He knows everybody. He's been, he played for Toronto in like 1990, right? Like, guys, forever. So I think when you have that sort of connection, you can find those people if you're smart enough to advise you to make the proper decisions. You hope. So that's how I would look at it. And again, I don't know Eddie personally. I know he's a great analyst. So why not? I mean, it can't be worse than what was happening there before, can it?
Yeah, you can't get worse than not being good.
I mean, well, if you're the Panthers, it's just on brand.
Yeah.
I want Kevin Weeks just because we've talked to each other several times and I really like him. But something I just found out, he was the Panthers' second ever draft pick.
That's cool.
I didn't know that. Second round pick, 1993, behind the 5th overall pick that year, Rob Niedermeyer.
Wow.
But like, I always find it weird that, don't you notice teams seem to go back, or players seem to go back in some sort of coaching or management role to the team that drafted them, even if they have little or no connection beyond that?
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, there is a little bit of that going on.
Kevin Weeks played for the Devils, and before that the Rangers, and before that the Hurricanes, and before that the Lightning, and before that the Islanders, and before that the Canucks. He was drafted by the Panthers and played 11 games for them. But he might be their next GM.
Yep. Be interesting.
Small
to see.
world.
Yep.
It's very weird how that happens.
Adam, you also brought up, was it Clayton Keller's contract?
Yes.
Do you want to play who has the worst contract? No.
On which team?
So Clayton Keller is, how much was it? It was 7.15 until 2028. And he's currently 22 years old. And
he's still really young.
Yeah, has a 23 goal season under his belt. And last year had 44 points in 70 games.
Kapanen at $3.2 million had a letdown, and he had 36 points. He was a letdown. Just throwing that out there.
Now, would you take that or former Arizona Coyote Kyle Turris, who is being paid $6 million until 2024, the age 31, and had a great 31 points last season and 9 goals.
Oh my God, man! What's happened to Kyle Turris since he left Ottawa?
But have you seen the buyout talk around him?
What is it?
Well, people are talking about buying him out, and I'm trying to find how do you do the buyout calculator on Cap Friendly? I looked it up. I'm like, are you high? Are you actually insane? How on God's green earth could you do that? It would cripple the team. Find some sort of funny deal you can do. I can't do it. I can't find it on the spot. But it's buyout current contract. Here we go.
Yeah, okay, go ahead.
So it's $2 million against the cap for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years. How bad is this guy? When you said 31 points, that's about 25 more points than I thought he had based on the conversation around him. Overpaid? Sure. Kind of washed? Fine. $2 million against the cap for the next 8 years? Jesus! That's horrible.
Yeah.
I don't know about that. Now, is it worth it to get whatever it is, 6 something off for the next
You get $4 million. You get $4 million back. That's not bad.
Man, like, are the Preds in a position to pay $16 million to someone to not play for them?
No.
Is anyone? Like, they're gonna have to get creative if they want to.
I think he's gonna have to play for them.
Yeah. Even if it's a 4th line role, you got to play on the ice.
Yeah.
Well, remember the conversation we had years ago? Hey, you know what's a really interesting option with Dustin Brown is if he got better. And then he did.
Yeah.
He did.
And that was the best possible outcome for the LA Kings. Like, is Turris so washed that there's no hope he could return to?
I don't think that's the case. Yeah, it doesn't necessarily have to be the case.
Like, that's got to be priority one. Like we said that with the Kings, priority one has got to be figuring out what's going on with Dustin Brown and rehabilitating him as a player. That's got to be priority one for the Preds with Kyle Turris.
Okay. Well, to answer your question, Jesse, I would take Clayton Keller because at least there's upside there. You've seen him hit 60 points before.
Oh,
yes, it was in his
easily.
rookie season. Yeah, Clayton Keller.
I'd take
Clayton Keller for sure.
All right.
That's what I would say. But I was
like
a
that
big
game.
Kyle Turris guy. I thought that was a good move for the Preds, and we thought Ottawa was insane. And what were they thinking? And wow, were they right?
It is
Good on Pierre Dorian.
The masterpiece of Joe Sakic's career. That I did that trade tree, that 3-way deal. That guy is a Stanley Cup champion. I don't know if he's ever done something as effective as that deal.
Which trade?
So Turris went to the Preds as part of the 3-way deal to send Matt Duchene to Ottawa.
Right.
Oh, Duchesne.
And Colorado got everything.
Right. Sam Girard,
Everything.
that first round pick switch with the Senators, and
Oh,
I think
Byram.
the Senators. The Senators, looking back, they've won Carlson and Duchesne. Did they not?
they won the Carlson deal.
Yeah.
Duchene on the way out?
Yeah.
I don't remember what that deal is.
I don't remember the Carlson deal. I can't even remember what the heck.
The
it was.
Carlson deal
Oh, that was
resulted
Yeah.
in the third overall pick this year.
This year.
No, that was Stone. Stone was Brandstrom, and the third overall pick. Yeah, that was a good move. Really good move. Wow.
Yeah. But you got to draft good players and be relevant, which the Sens are still. I like what they're doing. It's like the Kapanen deal. I like it. Better do something with it.
Yep.
They got good value. You got to do something with it.
Anyway, yeah. There's if I'm the Leafs, I'm calling the Coyotes. First off, you got a new GM. Second, you can grind them because they've just lost their first round picks, and you can dangle that first round pick, and you can pick from the roster. The question is, are you a fan of anything that's on their roster? Don't know. So
If you're Kyle Dubas, you just call up every team and go, "Hey, do you have money?" No, I know. I just wanted to hear you say it. Hey, listen, and you try to figure it out.
Yeah.
You try to figure it out. There's some deals to be made.
let's do the press conference.
The Presser. SDP. The Steve Dangle Press Conference.
Great dance moves there, Steve.
You know, you guys are bullies.
You're awesome, Steve. We all loved it.
What do we got, Jesse?
This one's from KDude22 on our Reddit page.
Okay, dude.
They want to know, what is your take on couples who support different teams? Should they keep up the banter and trash talk during games, or should that be kept to a minimum to avoid hurt feelings?
No, you should lean into the banter,
Yeah.
especially at the beginning of your relationship, because that is what we call a test.
We're getting a precedent.
That is, you're setting a precedent. This is my relationship advice I give to all new couples. You set a precedent. If your partner does something that bugs you and you let them know 6 months in, know whose fault that is? You. It's your fault. So if you're a Habs fan dating a Bruins fan, you lean into that shit. First date. First, you maybe don't throw Habs color paint on them or something. I could see how that would be going too far. But no, yeah, rip them a little bit.
Adam?
Get into it. That sounds fun. It sounds fun.
If you're taking it personally, that's on you. I think like Steve said, it's a test, and your feelings shouldn't get hurt if your team gets killed and someone makes fun of you for it. It sucks to see your team lose. Believe me, I watch a team that loses all the time, but it's and I get chirped for it all the time. And maybe I don't know if I'm numb to it now, but I think if you can't, first off, if you make it personal, you're an asshole. So if you're sending personal
look
barbs
at you,
someone,
little piece of shit.
yeah, like if you're doing
They
that.
lost.
But if your teams are facing each other and your team wins, give them a little poke with your foot and go, how about that? Just be smug. Be very smug, very quiet. Enjoy it. And you should have some fun with this. This is an opportunity to, even if win or lose, bring a little joy to your relationship and respect the fact that both of you like the same sport, which is amazing because a lot of people, will date somebody and they won't even like that sport, or I've dated women that didn't like hockey. Turns out, inevitably, they end up getting mad at you for liking it so much. And I'm sure it's vice versa too, because you're watching hockey so much and they're like, I don't like this. And that's fair. It's a fair point. And that's the thing. Like I think it's an opportunity to create a little bit of tension. Tension's a good thing between the two of you. And tension often ends up in the bedroom. So that's great. We liked it.
Oh,
and why not more of that? Am I right?
I'd be a mental assassin. The whole next day, that's all I would do is the little lip move just to let them know that I am thinking about the fact that my team won and theirs lost.
So Steve says that, but I don't know, man. I feel like if Mrs. Dangle was a fan of, I don't know, the Senators or the Canadians or Boston,
Not in my house.
I think she'd be better at it.
Yeah.
Easily.
Yeah.
She's Scottish.
chirper.
I'd be dead. I'd be in a puddle on the floor. She's Scottish. She would tear my whole life apart.
Right. She wouldn't need to say much.
I learned swear words in Scotland at a soccer game well into adulthood.
There you go.
Like stuff I'd never heard before. Those guys, and that was just the stuff they were yelling at the team they support. We should have seen what they were yelling at the supporter section,
Just
or
saying.
the visitor section.
I think that that would be very interesting. It would be funny next year if we could get Mrs. Dangle to just pretend to be a Boston fan for a year and see how that went.
She wouldn't be good at like fake chirping. She would need to really
got to be behind it.
She wouldn't be good at chirping me from like a Bruins angle. She would be good at talking about how the Leafs are ass.
Fair enough.
This question comes from Marge and in charge, also on Reddit. Steve and Adam, can you help name a Pokemon mascot for each NHL team? Now, there's 31 teams, so we're not going to do that. Let's do the Canadian teams. Assign them a Pokemon.
Well, the Flames have to be Charmander.
Yeah.
Do they not? Okay, so there's one. The Canucks. Could the Canucks be Lapras?
Yes,
Why?
they seem kind, and then they surprise you with their scary headbutts.
Just because I can't. Okay, so let me. I'm just the original 150, so I don't know if there's a whale Pokemon. Lapras is the closest thing, but also Lapras fans think Lapras is the coolest thing, but most people don't care or think about Lapras ever, which to me is the Canucks. Who would be the Jets? Like Pidgeot?
You're just basing it off of which Pokemon is closest to their mascot. What about the personality of the Pokemon?
I think the Oilers are Gyarados because they are an aggressive attack, but if you get around that attack, it's extremely vulnerable.
Okay.
Like Gyarados is vulnerable against the wrong people, and I would say big attack, big bite, but there are some huge weaknesses. Also, Gyarados should have flown. What the hell is that? Thing levitates through the air, but you can't fly it to Pewter City. That's great. Thanks so much. That was a silly game.
Stupid.
Stupid.
So would that make the Leafs then a
the Leafs
fire Pokemon? Because their offense is sick, but their defense is trash.
The Leafs are Clefairy at this point.
The Leafs should be Bellsprout.
Yeah, like
Clefairy at least has like special abilities. Also, Bellsprout is useful. You can use Bellsprout with
Leafs have
Bellsprout a cut.
Yeah, cut's good. Yeah. The Leafs have a lot. There's good there. There's lots of good there.
Yes.
But Clefairy, because
how about
like,
Zubat?
No.
Because they're everywhere and they suck.
No, I said Clefairy because they do have pretty powerful attacks, but they're not like tough. You know what I mean? Clefairy's like cuddly. Leafs are a bit cuddly.
Jigglypuff?
Jigglypuff. Yo, Jigglypuff and Smash Brothers. Don't sleep on that, man. Jigglypuff's good.
Oh, I was thinking of Kirby. I was like Jigglypuff.
No, there is a Jigglypuff.
That's Kirby.
Yeah, Kirby's good too.
Yeah.
I think, yeah.
Really put us on the spot here.
Yeah, this is hard.
Ottawa Senators.
Okay,
What's the
what is
Pokemon
the
that keeps screwing up?
brokest, most dysfunctional Pokemon?
What about that? No, you gotta have like one with an insane owner. Remember the Sandshrew owner? Remember when they had to go to that
Lieutenant Surge.
Yeah. Like you have to have an owner who's like intense. Like Eugene is intense in his Eugene way. I think Sandshrew.
That's good. I like it.
Montreal.
Okay, we need
Mr. Mime because it's kind of French.
That might
Let's
be
even mention that. Yo, Mr. Mime is the Frenchest Pokemon out there. That's so true, man. And no one ever uses Mr. Mime. Like, no one.
Why would you?
I don't know. I don't even know what the point of catching it was. It was like, oh, yeah, I have this, but I'm going to go put it at the thing.
Okay, there were a number of Pokemon that were popular because of the cartoon, and it's almost like all Pokemon fans unanimously were like, stop trying to make Mr. Mime a thing. Stop it. We don't like him. And that's the
My pick is Mr. Mime for
Mr. Mime.
Okay.
Useless, but a big personality. Mr. Mime. That's really funny.
Okay,
What are we missing? Oh, go ahead.
was there a gym leader that had two really good Pokemon, but the rest sucked? That's the Oilers, right?
Sorry, which one?
Was there a gym leader that had two really good Pokemon, but the rest sucked? Because
And like their really good Pokemon was McDavid, and so it's got to be like the best, right?
Yeah. You guys didn't get it. Trust me, it's hilarious. It's a great joke. It's a great joke I made.
I don't know. Who are we thinking about now? What are we doing?
Edmonton.
I thought we
Oilers.
already decided. Okay. Edmonton. I feel like Edmonton's like the Valley of the Charizards. You've got like, that Charizard farm that Ash lets his stupid that's the worst character in that series, by the way. That stupid Charizard. And the Bulbasaur that's like, I don't want to move up and be better. I just want to be this little thing, this plant forever. Could have been like literally he's surrounded by Venusaurs and he's like, no, not for me. Until he decides.
Yeah, well, he wanted to learn moves faster. Idiot. Stupid idiot.
Isn't that kind of like Edmonton? It's like, hey, you don't want to take this next step.
Oh no,
Bulbasaur. They have all the potential. They can evolve, but they don't want to win.
Bulbasaur's defense is too good, though.
Yeah,
That's true.
To be Edmonton.
Yeah.
Edmonton's a tough one. Any of the rock Pokemon fit for them? Like an Onyx?
Yeah.
They're a little bit like a Pikachu because, like,
Oh, yeah, I don't hate that.
they're popular. They have all this potential. They can learn Thunder, but does Thunder ever really strike? No, never. Also, Raichu is the evolution of Pikachu, and no one cared about it. Did you notice that?
Yeah, well, because once you evolved the Pikachu with the Thunderstorm, Raichu didn't learn anything.
Yeah.
Like that was the weird thing is like you're best to keep the Pikachu to level 100 and then you evolve it if you really wanted to because the Raichu doesn't do anything.
Also,
And
all the
didn't
Pokemon.
Ash in the series, didn't he give Pikachu like a stone that prevented him from evolving? Am I
Yeah,
remembering
he
that correctly?
did.
Yeah, because he wanted him to be Pikachu forever.
Mm-hmm.
So he got a stone.
And that was an
He
allegation.
didn't have to do that.
Innocence.
Just don't give him a Thunderstone,
yeah.
you dumbass. I hated Ash.
Ash
Ash
sucks.
was the worst.
Yo, Ash sucks. Ash goofed his way into like all the badges and then shows up and is like, I don't understand why I can't win. Like he didn't do anything.
It's like if I gave Adam a drug that made him never wear blue shirts.
What's wrong with my blue shirt?
No, like all he has to do is just not wear them.
Oh,
I don't need to give him something for him to not. Like, what are you? Stupid. Ash was stupid.
Mhm.
Also, it's not in the game. Stupid. Anything that was in the cartoon but not in the game, stupid.
Mr. Mime.
All right, I'm out of questions.
Never had to beat anyone to get a badge. You suck.
Hey, Jesse, I have to respect the fact that you remember who Mr. Mime even is because I would not have. I would have been like, what? Like, yeah. And then as soon as you said it, I was like, yes.
I remember.
Yeah. Any of the new ones, there's like 450 of them now, I think. I don't know how people remember all that
Yeah.
Oh,
stuff.
it's way more than that.
There's a lot of Pokemon.
Is it? Is there
now.
more than that? Oh my God. Yeah.
If you talk about the original 150, as I've noticed from the few times that we've done it on this show, people talking to they're like, "Oh, you're old."
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
we're OGs on that one.
Mm-hmm.
That's fine. I'm 32, man. I can't get away from it.
I had Pokemon Blue.
Yep.
Great.
Did you have yellow? Did you ever get yellow?
Justin Fisher lent me yellow. Yes.
I had yellow.
Yellow was only like all the kids who can afford extra video games had yellow.
Yeah.
Everybody had the original one, but then yellow came out, and then all the kids who had parents who would just buy them everything got yellow because you're like, oh, you got yellow and you have blue, and they're the same game, but this one's yellow.
That's
I resent that, sir. And I'll tell you why. I saved up for yellow. I did not buy blue, but I saved up for yellow because I desperately needed to play yellow, which is the exact same fucking game.
Yeah.
How'd you save up?
Except you have
rip-off.
Pikachu.
How'd you save up? You get an allowance?
I shoveled driveways.
Wow. Okay.
Oh,
All right.
look at
I thought he was going to say an
I've been
allowance.
shoveling driveways since grade 4, man. I was out there. I was out there
See,
hustling.
The cartoons always mess me up because kids would always talk about like, oh no, like I need an advance on my allowance, and I'm like, what is this allowance you speak of?
Yeah.
I don't. You know how I got a Tamagotchi growing up? My mom found one at the park. That's how I got a Tamagotchi.
Your mom's a thief. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Shout out Tina.
Don't talk to Tina like that.
Yeah, shout out Tina. Imagine she robbed a kid. Give me your Tamagotchi.
You know what?
You don't take care of it anyway. The screen's covered in blue.
If there's anything I know about Tina, it's how aggressive she is. Her personality is just extremely aggressive.
And her criminal nature.
Yeah, well, that's right. By the way, if you've never met Steve's mom, which I would assume that you haven't, she is the
Skinny with
antithesis
brown,
of what you
long
would
hair.
think based on Steve's personality. Steve, loud, aggressive, like in your face. Tina, the sweetest woman ever that humanity's ever created. She is sweet and kind and actually quite quiet comparatively. And in fact, your dad's pretty quiet too. Where'd you get the loudness from?
Television.
Really?
I don't know.
No, because your dad's not a huge talker either.
Yeah. Maybe that's why, because I had so much room to talk.
That could have been it.
They wouldn't talk. Oh, I must have been an exhausting kid for those two. I
Yeah.
come
Oh,
home,
yeah.
blah, 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 bed. Wake up. Blah, 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 discovers coffee in theater. Blah, 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 blah. They should. They'd probably wish they'd gone back in time, and when I switched from visual art to drama, just be no. You
Yeah.
like drawing.
You don't thank
Whatever.
your parents enough, Steve.
I thank my parents all the time.
You got good
It's
parents.
still not enough.
Yeah, you
You're
got
right.
Good parents.
You're right.
They're good peeps. And they put up with us when we were really terrible. Like terrible people. So
Oh.
thank God.
Oh.
Yeah. Like the weird thing, Jesse, is like when we were growing up, I was hiding how terrible I was from my family, but was completely cool with showing everybody else's family how terrible I was in terms of drinking
no.
and partying and stuff underage. So like our friend Derek, his parents definitely pulled me out of their bathroom a few times as I was wrapped around their toilet. Steve's mom and dad would have seen us just stupid, 3 sheets to the wind. Drove us home many, many times.
My 19th birthday was what I remember of it was awesome.
I don't think I was there, but
You were very briefly. You were because you walked home with Derek and you like got home at dawn because you just went to the GO Train parking lot and sat on a cooler drinking beers.
Oh, I don't even remember that. There you
I
go.
remember that. So my 19th birthday was on a Monday and I couldn't celebrate it. So we waited till the following Saturday, which was St. Patrick's Day. So my 19th birthday, I could finally drink.
No way.
That's why I couldn't remember.
That's unbelievable.
My parents knew I was drunk because they're like, yeah, every time you came upstairs to greet a new guest, you had a different beer.
You know what? You know what really sucks? And if you're in your early 20s right now, you need to appreciate this while it lasts. First off, all your friends being in the party zone. So like the idea that you could text your friends on a Friday morning and go, what are we doing tonight?
Every single one of them.
Yeah.
From like
and everybody
20,
be like,
yeah.
that's the thing. We're going to that thing.
Yeah.
The other thing is house parties. House parties disappear. I miss house parties. Now, I don't have a house. Like I'm on my own, single dad with the apartment. I could have a house party, but do I ever have a house party? No, I do not. Anyway. I miss house parties.
We sent them off pretty good.
Mhm.
The last real big one we had here was before we got the basement done, and I'm friggin' smashing beers together doing the Steve Austin.
That was great.
We had beer
we can't have a hard-
wiping beer off the ceiling.
I think you grow up and you realize that house parties aren't for you to throw in your house. It's for kids to throw in their parents' house.
Yeah.
You know?
The most legendary one, and Adam, I'm sure you remember this one, with the initials BB. His parents moved out of it. Yeah. His parents moved out of the house. So they cleared the house. It was done. And they stupidly allowed their son in the house. So naturally, he invited Scarborough. All of it. All of it. There were at least 200 people in that house.
Oh, dude.
There were people on the lawn, on the roof.
Yeah.
Well, that was the first place I ever got drunk.
I was in a band.
Ever.
And we used to play some of those house parties, and it was like going to a hedonism resort. It was just wild, just absolutely nuts. And
I know you were there, but I don't remember you being there.
I don't remember. I remember walking in the front door. That's all I remember. I remember this is when I used to do 40 of black ice, 40 of black ice, Rockstar energy drink, and not remember a single thing.
Oh my God.
It was bad. It was I did all of my major partying before I became legally able to drink. After that, I was like, nah, 2 beers, and then I'm going to go to sleep, man. It's just, like I'm really quite tame now.
This was the party where I famously, my mom spoke to me, and I didn't remember. Like I had fallen asleep in the basement bathroom, and she saw me walking out of it, and apparently we had like a very brief 10-second conversation, and I went up to bed. And she's like, yeah, do you remember what you said to me this morning? And I go, no. And that's when she's like, you're drunk. And I'm like, no, I'm not. She's like, the downstairs bathroom, there's an imprint of a face on the mirror that looks a lot like yours. So what I must have done is gotten home and just went and face planted right into the mirror.
Just like Philly, just a little sweaty.
I know that nose.
Yep.
I know that nose because it's mine.
Jesse, were you a big partier in high school?
Somewhat. Like we partied in high school.
Because I'll tell you, if you don't know, Jesse is one of the most fun people to hang out with just in general. And it's weird because he's relatively quiet in comparison to Steve and I. But when you get Jesse going, first off, he's a fantastic dancer. The second thing is he is an absolute riot. And I've had some of the best nights I've had, especially this summer, have been just Jesse doing stuff. It's just
he'll do something, like you'll have a little plate of cake and he'll just mush it.
Yeah.
Just grab it and smush your face. And you're just like,
is my party trick being annoying?
It's awesome.
You're good at it.
Jesse,
You're good at it, and you do it with these cartoon hands. And you just mush. You leave no piece of, no crumb, no molecule of cake untouched.
So, I'll tell you a story about one time Adam was there at Virgin Mornings and early mornings. Jax, one of Adam's co-hosts, had spilled her water next to her keyboard, and she was panicking. And then I took her cell phone and I started cleaning up the water with her cell phone. And then she got really mad at me, and I said, What's the problem? Phone's waterproof. And at that point, it was no longer funny, and she was very mad.
There was a podcast where I was making a point, and you just took the mic sock off my mic and put it in the water I was in.
Yes, that's right. Yeah. That was great.
And I'm like, the breath of thousands of Rogers employees is on this thing.
Yeah.
And you're just like, I'm going to have to set this on fire now. I can't even wash that out.
Jesse and I used to have this thing at Rogers because Rogers sends a ton of, and I've made fun of this for years, and I was making fun of it to a Rogers employee recently. They love their surveys. They love their corporate surveys. There's a lot of corporate surveys. And Steve, you work there, but you are a contract guy. You weren't an employee. So it's different. So you don't get any of these damn surveys, but Jesse and I got them all the time. So what we would do is we would send each other links like, oh my God, you're not going to believe this video. and it would be the Rogers survey.
They'd be like, "Oh, we need to talk about this on the show," and it's just a link to an internal email.
And it was always like, who could get him? Now Jesse always wins, but the other day, one of our favorite memes is the "What if we kissed" meme. So it's like, have you seen those, Steve? I think it's Grape Juice Boys or something.
Yeah,
they're the ones that they always put out like what if we kissed next to the sewage
Just
plant?
And go to Google Images and type in "What if we kissed."
Yeah.
What if we kissed meme?
Yeah.
I've never seen it.
It's deep internet. It's deep because it's so like it's very meta, very like you have to be in on the inside joke on the inside joke.
What if we kissed at the neighborhood high voltage box?
So Jesse sends me what I thought last week was a script for a Ford read. So they have like an event going on right now, and it was like, hey, Ford, right now at so and so Ford, you can get 0 APR, and then Steve, and then at the bottom of the email goes, what if we kissed here?
My favorite one is, what if we kissed that Toyota's 2.9% financing APR summer sale season event?
So stupid. But this is what we do.
Very funny.
So, Jesse or Steve, are you enjoying the what if?
I don't know if anybody's enjoying this conversation.
I'm sending it to you. It just says, what if we kissed on the couch? And it's a couch made of jeans.
Yo, there's a
Did you see Get the Jumperware?
yes. I was just
What's
gonna
the
say.
Jumperware?
The Jumperware. They have
What is the Jumperware?
They have a whole set of not like plastic things and plates and glasses and everything that are just they look like they're denim. They're all jeans, but they're like a plate that looks like jeans.
What if we kissed in the Chuck E. Cheese sky tubes?
Tell me that's not hilarious.
What is this?
I know.
Oh,
it's
it
one of
was-
those.
Go
Sorry,
set the Jable. It's time for dinner. It's a bunch of jeans.
What if we kissed at the Walmart rotisserie chicken aisle? What if we kissed in the default unfurnished Animal Crossing house?
Yo, it's amazing. It's stupid. It's so stupid. What was the other one I was going to bring up? Because there was, so we were going to bring this up on the show a few weeks ago, but there was a time, sometimes, like, so when we're doing the morning show, one of the barometers as to how funny we are, at least hopefully, is that if we can make Jesse laugh. Because Jesse laughs, but he'll only laugh at shit that's really funny. Whereas I'm easily entertained. Jesse's bar is a little bit higher.
That's a good way to describe yourself.
Yeah, just like I'm very excitable, very easily entertained. Like I liked Transformers too. I was like, this is fine. It's the writer's strike. Who cares? What do we expect?
Yeah, it's the reason you love Star Wars. It's
yeah.
Just,
oh yeah. Well, and by the way, the last 2 Star Wars movies just sucked. But anyway,
They were bad.
they're bad. Just bleh. But anyway, my point in this is that Jesse started laughing at something while I was on the air last week or 2 weeks ago. And he was laughing, Steve, so hard that the tears were rolling down his nose.
I often cry when I laugh.
Like he was like, this was really laughing. And Jesse, do you still have that link?
Do you
remember what it was?
To that people's podcast?
Yeah, so it's
I don't want to bring it up. I don't want to give these people any credit.
All right, I don't want to know. I don't want to name the people. Just read the headline. It's a vegan podcast.
No, I'm not going to do it. No.
Okay, well, I'm going to do it.
Screw us.
They said they made a claim, Steve, as the cap. Because people with their podcast, you want to have a hook. Like, I got to click on this. I need to listen to this. And these guys said that 80% of people that eat hot dogs, or what is it? Eating hot dogs increases your risk of not. What is it? What was it, Steve? Or was it Jesse? Come on, give it to us.
No, I don't think we should talk about these people.
Do it. Yes, we should.
No. So they were talking. They have a health podcast or something, and they're talking about how eating hot dogs once a week increases your chances of getting leukemia by 80%.
Oh my God!
I didn't think that was true.
Literally, they're suggesting that eating hot dogs is more dangerous for you than smoking.
Eating hot dogs nearly guarantees.
That's why it's funny.
Yeah,
because
Jesse really does have 3 laughs, though. He has Mona Lisa smile, mild chortle, tears, just
and the This was a tears laugh.
Unstoppable tears.
Because it was so outrageous. And of course, you dive a little deeper, and that's based on one study that was done in 1994.
Yeah,
So
there was a study in the 90s that said that children who had meat, and specifically hot dogs, had a greater chance of getting leukemia. And then the study concluded with, hey, we have all these findings, but more research needs to be done. And there has never been more research on it since that one study in the 90s. And then these people quoted it for their podcast in 2020, being like, hey, don't eat hot dogs because there's an 80% chance your kid will get leukemia.
How does that, like, you ever wonder how they find that shit? Like, what were you looking up?
Oh, I don't know.
Hot dog studies? For a bit?
Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. I also
and us just going LOL and just have a hot dog eating contest.
I don't understand, and like I'm sure a lot of people don't understand the fixation on hockey, but there are some things with health where I'm like, this is so boring. Like, who cares? I don't know how you make a podcast run, but again, it's not my area of interest. So there you go. Anyway, that was a Jesse crying thing because hot dogs, smoking. I'd rather be smoking. You less your chance of leukemia. Like, really, that's what
that one study said. So.
That's right. Yeah. So anyway,
Pete Blackburn, like, yes.
He's the only person. Do you know his bit on smoking? What is that?
It's that he's the only person ever to be like pro smoking.
I don't even know if Pete doesn't smoke. Does he? I don't think so.
No, I think it's a bit.
I don't know.
Right.
I think
he would never tell us, though, would he?
No.
But it's just that
would
one.
Ruin the bit.
He had that one picture with him with a cigarette in his mouth for gaming, right? And then, oh my God. Anyway, welcome to the off track. This is how our conversations normally go. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for listening. We will be back Wednesday, and I hope that your team does well, unless they're the Islanders. No, I'm kidding. We love the Islanders. We have nothing to lose.
Let's pick one team to hate.
Oh God.
Florida.
Done. They're not in the playoffs.
That's why they suck.
The Steve Dangle Podcast. Follow the guys on Twitter at Steve_Dangle, at Adam WYLDE, and at Jesse Blake. Connection complete.